Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to our Gemstone Well little mini class on Gem Elixirs. I had such a cool setup. I've got a new camera setup, and so I was going to be able to switch screens between like talking to you and then demonstrating on my little cheese board here, but Facebook is not cooperating, and I thought we were out of, I thought Mercury went direct today, but maybe not. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I misjudged those dates. But today, welcome, welcome. We are talking about Gem Elixirs. So I've been putting some posts up and asking y'all about what is it you want to learn about? What do you want to know about crystals and elixirs and all of those things? And so a lot of people were wondering about Gem Elixirs. So we're going to talk about that today. If you are new to Gemstone Well, if you haven't been hanging out with us since about May, I don't know, beginning of summer, I'm Audrey Christie. I'm a holistic wellness practitioner and certified crystal healer on the team here at Gemstone Well. And like I said, today we're talking about one of my favorite topics. Really anything that has to do with crystals, health, wellness is going to be one of my favorite topics. But today we're talking about Gem Elixirs. So as you hop on, or if you're watching this in the replay, be sure you pop on and let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions, I love to interact with the commenters as we go. This is my second live class today. The first one was in a private group, and it was on psoriasis and the energetic emotional stuff around that. And then later today, I'll be live in the Crystal Club, and we are talking about or learning how to sense energy in the Crystal Club. So I'm really excited to hang out with everybody there here in just a little bit. So while you guys are filing in, a little bit of housekeeping, please make sure that you like and get notifications from this page. We do all kinds of fun stuff on the Facebook thing. Every week we have, like pick your crystal, and we'll come back and tell you what energy that means. We've got lots of educational and interactive posts each and every week. Also, at the end of this live, there will be time for Q&A. So please do ask questions. If I see them, I may pause to answer them. But due to the time delay between me talking and you typing, and just the broadcast delay that Facebook puts in, your questions may get overlooked, but I will come back and get to them either in the video if we have time, or I'll come back and answer them at the end. And lastly, of course, know that the information I'm giving here today is for informational and educational purposes only. It's not a substitute for medical advice. And while crystals and gem elixirs and all of these alternative therapies are an excellent adjunct part of your health and wellness plan, please know that they are just a part of a sound, holistic health and wellness plan. And remember that ultimately you are responsible for your own health and well-being. So let's dig in. So a lot of times, one of the first things that people want to talk about when it comes to gem elixirs is like, I've heard of gem elixirs and gem essences and crystal waters and crystal tonics and gem tonics and, all of these things. And it can get super confusing, and I get it because it is, right? Anytime you have 3 different names for something, it's super confusing. And it makes it even more confusing because these names are often used interchangeably, and there's often like additional slang that can be involved. And I'm guilty of it too. I refer to almost everything as a gem elixir, even though there are proper categories and terminologies for all of this. But let's break it down just a little bit, just so you have an idea. Technically, an essence is just that. It's the essence of something. In this case, it's the vibratory essence of a single crystal imprinted on water. On the other hand, an elixir is a combination of stones. So for our purposes, think of it as a combination of essences, right? Gem waters, gem tonics are generally just shorthand or a slang version that can refer to either an essence or an elixir. Crystals and gems are often used interchangeably. A lot of times gems are like the gem quality crystal, whereas a crystal is something that you might find, like a rough rose quartz. That's not a gem quality rose quartz, right? All gem elixirs are gem essences, but not all gem essences are gem elixirs, right? So today we're going to use the term gem elixir. We're going to be, for the most part, talking about mixing all different kinds of crystals together into a gem elixir. And so that's really what we're focusing on today. And recall that a gem elixir is the vibratory imprint of crystals, usually more than one, on water. Now let's talk about how they work. I like to talk about the science aspect of it. That's a big part of my training as a holistic wellness practitioner. I have a master's degree in science, and so I like to really get in there and find out why, right? And also part of being someone who practices this in real life on human people and animals too, but primarily on human people, you have to have an evidence base for any treatment that you do on another human, right? And so it's nice to have that scientific evidence base. So when we talk about imprinting the vibratory essence of a crystal on water, often you're probably thinking, like, how the heck does that happen, right? And I used to wonder the same thing. And I'm not going to dive too deeply into a physics lesson because that's probably not what you're in the mood for here. But I do find it's really important, like I said, to understand the science behind why these cool things work, right? So it all started with a German physicist, Dr. Wolfgang Ludwig. He discovered a principle of water, a trait of water. That's the word I'm trying to come to. And to quote him, he says, "Water has a memory like an elephant." What he proved in his studies was that water maintains the frequency of what it's exposed to even after it's been physically filtered out. For example, if water was exposed to pesticides, right? And that pesticide is filtered out, completely filtered out, no traces of it in taste or in chemical makeup. So it's either physically filtered out or chemically filtered out. The water retains the frequency of pesticides. So proof that pesticides changed the molecular stability, structure, vibration, frequency of the water, even after the pesticide has been filtered out. Dr. Ludwig also said that water has the ability to transfer information. So it communicates information once it's obtained, and it communicates that frequency, that information to other systems such as living organisms like humans and plants, as well as to more water, right? So you'll see that theory mirrored in lots of other things. If you've ever read The Secret Life of Trees, it talks about how trees use water to communicate dangers to each other. That's one of the things they do. And there was also, I believe it was Japanese scientist, researcher, Dr. Emoto, that also took a lot of these principles and then designed studies around them. So that theory is the operating principle of how gem elixirs work. So if you think of rose quartz, for example, rose quartz has a specific frequency, and just like everything does, and you're exposed to that frequency by being near it, by having it touch your skin. So I'm wearing a rose quartz ring and also rose quartz bracelet, but also by consuming water imprinted with its frequency. And so since the work of Dr. Wolfgang Ludwig, there have been lots and lots of scientists and physicists to duplicate and research and study this information. It's actually also one of the principles of homeopathy, right? That duplicatable effect, imprinting the frequency or the vibratory essence of something, plant matter, crystal, something, on a liquid. Generally water. And homeopathy, a lot of times they use different syrups and alcohol bases and different things like that. All right, so let's get to the fun stuff, right? Like the how-to. How do we do it? So there are a couple of ways to create elixirs, and you can get as fancy or as simple as you want. There are people who have deep and meaningful, elaborate ceremonies and rituals for gem elixirs. I'm totally down with layering all of those energies and all of those frequencies to boost gem elixirs in all ways possible. But on the other hand, through working with clients one-on-one and, being in practice for nearly 10 years now, I know that if it's not simple, it's not sustainable. So I encourage you to take any of the options that we're going to talk about today as a starting point, as a baseline, like what you need. It's a place to leap off, and you can always make it more elaborate as time allows, but don't let not having the time or energy or resources to do the big ritual, ceremonial, energetic layering stop you from getting the benefits of gem elixirs. Okay, so option one is the direct method. And again, I have this nifty camera set up so I can show you this much, much easier, but Facebook's not cooperating. So option one is the direct method. Super simple. You take your glass jar, okay? You put, this doesn't have water in it because I didn't want to spill it, right? You put your crystal, hopefully that isn't playing too loud. I'm going to try to set it in there gently. You put your crystal in there. Fill it with water, cover it up, set the whole thing out in the sun or sunny window for a few hours to boost the energy. And there's all kinds of rules and regulations you could look to. You know, some people say to set it in the sun in the morning. Some people say to set it in the moonlight, all of those things. I find that the gentle heat of the sun actually helps to better imprint the energy of the stone into the water. And so I encourage you to do that. It's not required. You can, sometimes I make them on my kitchen counter, or today it's cloudy and there's not a sun in the sky, not a bit of sun in the sky, but you could still achieve the same thing. That's option one. Whew. Now, option one, simple, right? Everyone, this I think was a pickle jar or maybe a jalapeno jar. I like to save those things for things like this. So it's a really simple way to do it. The second option, try and get this out of here, is an indirect method, okay? Indirect method is something that you might do if you're using a stone that is toxic, right? So if it's a stone that should not go in water, and there are toxic stones, y'all. So the indirect method, you would fill your container with water, and then you would place your stones, I'm reaching for stones here, you would place your stones around the outside of the container. Here we go, placing it around the outside of the container. Now that's clear quartz, that's not a toxic stone, but labradorite's not something that you'd want to put in your water and drink it, although it might be something that you want to create a gem elixir with, right? So same principle. The stones are around the water, you cover the water, and then let it sit, right? Very simple method. Also, you know, it's a very simple method. Both of these methods do take some preparation, some forethought. You need to think ahead, prepare your elixir this morning for later or the day before for the next day, all of those things. Now, option three, if I don't spill that option three is to use something like an elixir to go bottle. Now this is Gemstone Well's elixir to go bottle. There are other elixir bottles on the market. They're the kind that have the crystal touching the water. Be very careful. I see lots of those on the market that have toxic stones in them. You don't want to do toxic stones. I've seen medical conditions worsen and caused by using a gem elixir with a toxic stone. Don't do that. Copper, arsenic, all kinds of poisoning can happen with that, okay? Now, Gemstone Well's bottle is the indirect method, right? It's the elixir to go bottle because you literally put your water in, you fill it up with your crystals, and you can, it comes with crystals, by the way, but you can change it out, right? So you can open this up, and this is gonna spill, but all the crystals come right out of the bottom. So you can use one bottle to change it out. And there are benefits. All three of these methods, there are benefits and drawbacks to each of them, and we're going to talk about that. But this elixir to go bottle is one of the easiest ways to do that. And I have, a lot of you asked about what this stone was. I have can you see that? That's an azurite in there, and that's for divine connection, to make it short and sweet, right? So those three ways. Let's talk about safety. One of the drawbacks that I frequently have a concern over is the safety of elixirs. Overall, gem elixirs are very, very safe. But just like anything, there are some precautions to take, no matter which method that you use, okay? The direct method is risky, especially if you're consuming it. Now, I do recommend the direct method for topical treatments. So one of my favorite topical treatments for an autoimmune disease that I treat a lot is beryl and aragonite in water. You wouldn't want to drink the water made with those stones, but I put them directly in the elixir, and then that is a topical treatment for psoriasis, okay? For consuming, drinking regularly, I have a big concern about the direct method because stones can rust, they can corrode, they can dissolve in water. So there's some things you need to know about, like the Mohs hardness of stones, to determine which ones you can put in water. By and large, quartz stones are safe. So quartz-based stones, so rose quartz, amethyst, clear quartz. There's rose quartz. Amethyst is going to be your purple stone. Amethyst. Those are all quartz-based carnelian, generally safe in a gem elixir by the makeup of the stone. Sometimes stones are altered by man or by nature or by man and nature combining. So they might contain things like radiation that you wouldn't want to put in your water, okay? Sometimes they naturally contain compounds that are toxic. So things like copper, like I mentioned, aluminum, asbestos, lots of other things. Now, equally as risky, if you are using a stone, and I brought one here, that is generally non-toxic, right? Generally non-toxic, like this rose quartz, right? Rose quartz is generally non-toxic. Look at the difference in this rose quartz and this rose quartz. Obviously there's a difference in color, but this one is all shiny and polished, right? It's been tumbled. This one is very raw. In fact, it was dirty when I got it, so I had to clean it. So here's the thing. You don't know what chemical was used to polish this stone. Now I've tested some things, and I'll take a couple polished stones and put them in water, pull those polished stones out, and often they're not shiny anymore. So what that tells me is what the the sellers, the miners, somewhere in the manufacturing, the processing process of taking this guy and making it into this guy, there are some things used. Typically, often it's aluminum oxide is used during the polishing stage in this day and age. It could be wax, there could be an oil, there could be anything. Often these things come from countries that have far less safety standards than the US. The US doesn't have a whole lot of safety standards when it comes to chemicals. So it's something to keep in mind. If you're putting these in your water routinely and routinely drinking that, or encouraging others to do the same, your pets as well. Kathy Lynn says, I would love to own one. I think you're talking about an elixir to go bottle, and I'll tell you how to get a sweet deal on one of those in just a minute. So as a holistic wellness practitioner, I routinely see people who are overloaded with toxins, and I help them detox from that, right? So heavy metals, chemical exposures, all of those things are something that you want to avoid if you want to maintain your human suit, okay? So I really moved from recommending people use the direct method to exclusively recommending indirect method. It's safer because you can't mess it up. You can't accidentally put a toxic stone in. You can't accidentally misidentify a stone and end up ingesting some of those naturally occurring toxic minerals. And you can't accidentally put something in your water and have it leach off and soak off into your water that has been treated chemically, that can come off in your water. Another aspect to think of is, a lot of these stones, we'll take this one for example. This is a smoky quartz that has not been irradiated. It has been polished, so it probably has some chemicals on it. This is also sold as a smoky quartz. Look how dark that is. Now the seller swears it wasn't irradiated, but I know that the price I paid, the mine it was said to have come from, indicates that this fella was more the color of this fella or lighter. So it has been treated in some way, generally irradiated, to increase the darkness of that smoky quartz. Now, this is a big piece, obviously, for example, but what if I put that in my water and drank that on a routine basis, right? I'm working on keeping the negative energies at bay, releasing all of the negative energies in my body by doing so, but I'm also physically harming my human suit by using a direct method. Kathy says yes. All right, I'll tell y'all how to do that in just a minute. So that leads us to how to choose stones for your elixirs, right? My very favorite part, because that's where you get to play with all the pretty rocks. It's picking out the pretties, right? And there are a few big misconceptions about this. One is that you have to know all the meanings and all the uses for all the stones in all the world in order to figure this part out. Not true. Nope, you don't even have to have the big fancy books. And I have a lot of big fancy books on crystals to tell you. There are really three distinct ways to choose. And they also kind of blend nicely. So you can start to build your experience and you'll get to blending these methods and it'll become this just intuitive thing without even realizing it. The first way is to look up the meaning. What crystal or what crystal combination is good for X, right? Fill in the blank. You can do this on Google and get some pretty good answers. Often I use something called the Book of Stones. That's a really big book. It was a part of the required text for my crystal healing certification. A smaller, cheaper, just as good version of that book is something called Crystal Prescriptions by Judy Hall. So it gives you 1,200 symptoms, light sensitivity, depression, digestion, all kinds of things for you to, let me see if I can just, that's kind of a weird page, let's see. For you to look at and see what might be, okay, so like if you're trying to support emphysema, right? It's an alphabetical order by symptom. Super simple, gives you lots of good suggestions, okay? You don't have to buy this book because I'm gonna tell you a different way. But if you want to, I think it says $15.95. This is kind of an old book, so you could probably get it for a lot less than that on Amazon. The second way to pick a stone is by color. And the technical term for this is chromotherapy. And if you're familiar with the chakra system, the 7 major chakras, starting at the base of the spine and going all the way up to above the head, the crown, and you're familiar with something called Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, indigo. Oh, I missed one. Green, blue, indigo, and violet. My 3rd grader would kill me for that. But those are the colors of the rainbow. So you can match your need to the color zone of your body, if you will. If you're not familiar with the chakras, just Google chakra image or chakra colors, and it will show you that green or pink is the heart chakra. So it's anything from about here to here, all the way out to the arms, like all the way to the limbs, right? And that's just an example. So red is generally the area below the belly button. Yellow is, orange is kind of right around the belly button. Yellow is the belly button to the sternum, right? So right here. And then above that, like I said, is green or pink. Blue is the throat, right? And sometimes the throat can go all the way up to here. Purple is going to be this area here. And then your white and clear stones are going to be if your issue is spiritual in nature, let's say. It's pretty simple, right? It's just the colors of the rainbow. And it starts right at your tailbone and goes all the way up. The final way, and actually the best way, is, it's also the scariest way, but it's the easiest and best way, is to just tune into your intuition. So when I'm looking at what stones do I want to put in my gem elixir today, or if I don't have a specific something in mind, often I'll just walk in. I have a big rack of crystals. I have crystals everywhere, to be honest, but I have a big rack of crystals, and just whatever drawer I'm led to open, I start there, and then I look, whichever one catches my eye, that's the one that I need today. And there may not be any logical rhyme or reason to that, but there is a subconscious and intuitive reason why you need that stone. So start there. So skip the book, skip Google, and just start there. And eventually you'll get in the habit of kind of combining all of those things together. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about combinations. So let's talk about easy, simple combinations that you can use. And I'm giving you these combinations for indirect use. So that's going to be, I can do this without spelling it. That's going to be indirect in this method, right? All you need are some stones and a glass jar. You don't need a wooden base for it. That's just so I can show it to you. Or something in an indirect gem elixir bottle, like the Elixir to Go bottle from Gemstone Well. Let me take a quick sip. So, some of my favorite combinations, especially this time of year, because the holidays are coming and we all got to deal with a whole bunch of family, and that's not always a pretty thing, right? So one of my very favorite ones for anxiety and grounding is a combination. And these stones I'm going to show you are big stones. So you want them to be smaller to fit in your gem elixir. I'm going to show you big stones because it's easy to show you on camera. So I like to combine hematite. Hopefully you can see that there. Smoky quartz. Got a weird flinch in my thumb today. I'm going to switch. And lepidolite. And this is actually a lepidolite mica, but I would probably use a lepidolite tumbly. But my tumblies are smaller and this one's bigger. So I'm going to show you that. So lepidolite, hematite, smoky quartz, really, really good for anxiety, grounding those emotions, right? All of the anxious emotions that come with having all the family together, and anytime that you're dealing with that sort of baseline anxiety and just a need for bringing that energy down. It's also really helpful if you're somebody who's in your head a lot. And I do the same thing. I'm very analytical and clinical. And also, which is probably a good indication I shouldn't be drinking the azurite water again today, but I'm very much a heady, high chakra person, and most people, it's more fun to play in the upper chakras, right? It's where our abundance is, it's our communication and our connection to the divine. So this elixir of lepidolite, hematite, and smoky quartz is really good for just bringing that energy down and making sure that all the chakras are in sync and in tune and working together. The next one that I really, really like is rose quartz. Let me find it. I've showed that one to you already. Again, these are huge. No, they don't need to be this big. Rose quartz and clear quartz. That's really good for all things heart related, for abundance, for love. You can also switch this rose quartz if you don't have rose quartz out. It's a fairly easy stone to find. It also is an option to order with one of the Gemstone Well elixir bottles. It's really easy to find, and it's not often faked, so that's why I like to recommend it. But you could also switch this out for green aventurine. That's a good one too. So those two go really, really well together. Another good combination for a negative neutralizing, for getting clarity on your thoughts, getting out of a negative pattern, is smoky quartz and clear quartz. And this this clear actually has an inclusion in there. I don't know if you can see it. You see it? Yeah. This one's a natural point. I like the ugly stones. A lot of people would say this is ugly compared to this one, right? It's all cut and polished and pretty and perfect. I like the ugly stones. I don't know. Another favorite is celestite. This time of year, I see so many people sniffling and coughing and swollen lymph nodes. Celestite and a gem elixir, magnificent for those lymph nodes. And that one, I actually broke it. I dropped it. So it used to be a big hunk, but, and you can see this one still has a lot of the original rock face on it. And so you wouldn't put that in water. All these little things would come off. And so you want to use an indirect method for that. Works just as well. All right. So if you have some questions, put them in there. Let me know. I think there's just a handful of people watching right now. It's kind of an odd time. A lot of our audience is West Coast. So while you're putting your questions in, if there are any, I want to tell you about a couple things. One, the holidays are upon us. So yeah, get on the smoky quartz, hematite, and lepidolite, whether you put it in a bracelet. You'll notice I generally wear bracelets. Whether you put it in a bracelet or a gem elixir or in your pocket or in your bra, you will want these for the holidays. But what that also means is that our Black Friday sale is just around the corner. So make sure you don't miss it. Drop your email in at gemstonewell.com/email. Here's the thing. You're going to get a 10% off coupon immediately. Go ahead and use that. But that also means when you're on the list, you are the second person, the second group of people to know about new products and sales. And the reason why I say second is because our crystal clubbers are first. That's the group that I'm teaching energy sensing to today. So we're going to learn how to sense energy with our hands and some other cool tools. And the Crystal Club is a community of crystal enthusiasts, and we learn and explore and share information and crystals together. When I came on board to teach the crystal classes in the Crystal Club, I never imagined what a fun and close-knit group of people we have in there, and it is so stinking exciting. Registration for that is not currently open, but I will tell you, as members of the Crystal Club, you get 2 live crystal classes taught each month by me, Audrey, holistic wellness practitioner, certified crystal healer. I've got a master's degree in science, a master's degree in nursing, and thousands of theory and clinical and practical hours of alternative therapies. I always tell people I collect certifications like some people collect shoes. So if you want to get notice when that registration opens again, you can go to gemstonewell.com/membership. Also, members get a 20% discount on Gemstone Well products. They get early access. So you guys on the list will get access, but our crystal clubbers get early access to the Black Friday sale. They also get a free gift. We send a little gift in the mail, and that changes. So I'm not going to say what it is or was, because it's always changing. And then we also give them other perks like early access to new products. So if you've seen our new elixir bowl, right? It's for pets or for you. I ate my cereal out of it this morning, which is why I didn't bring it for demonstration. But they got that bowl first. They got a big old discount on it. And then they also had the opportunity to order them before anyone else did. That'll also be happening with our newest product, which is set to launch any moment now. And it's, if you like, I can't tell you what it is, and I almost did, but if you like crystal gritting or you want to dabble in crystal gritting for things like health and wellness and manifesting abundance and all the things that crystal grits are good for, stay tuned. We'll be having some things, I can't say it, for that soon, okay? So that's gemstonewell.com/membership if you want to get on the wait list so that you get notification when that happens. Okay. So let's check for questions. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, put your questions in. I'll circle back around and come answer them on the keyboard. Do they sell individual stones? Gemstone Well does not sell individual stones, no. But if there's a particular stone you're looking for, I can always recommend some good quality online places. You can also go locally. Often there is a rockhound shop. Metaphysical stores, they will have crystals that are the appropriate size. Heck, I even find them in TJ Maxx sometimes. I'll find like geodes in TJ Maxx. I don't know if y'all can see it. That's a TJ Maxx geode right there. So you can find them lots and lots of places. Patricia, if you are, if you don't have a metaphysical store or a nature rockhound store locally, and you're looking to purchase them online, let me know. I can send you some links where you can find some good quality stones, depending on what stone you're looking for. Sometimes it's hard to discern online if they're real or not. And if you're interested in kind of that sciencey geology type stuff, let me know and we can talk about that too. And I can recommend a really great place to get a good course on that as well. Metaphysical stores tend to be more expensive than your rockhound places. So if you got just like a guy who likes rocks or rockhounds, definitely check that out. Gem shows, awesome place to find those. There's a big gem show in Tucson. The blue one that I broke is cute. Blue celestite. I love this one. I'll type it in the comments so that you can see. Blue celestite. Yeah, and if that's the one you're looking for, you might try, well, you know what, I'll just put it in the comments, earthagy.com can be a good one to get just plain blue celestite. It was much prettier when it was bigger, like a pretty little blue Easter egg, but still very effective. I have both pieces. Now I keep one piece at the office and one piece at home. So I suppose it was meant to be that way. And like I said, metaphysical stores are often more expensive. And more expensive doesn't always mean real. And you do want to watch out for ones that look real but have likely been adulterated in some way. So if that's the only question we have, I'll wrap it up. Again, if you're catching it on the replay, make sure you check it out. I'm going to go get ready at 1 Central. I'll be teaching the class in the Crystal Club on energy sensing. So super excited about that. Y'all have a magical day and stay tuned. We've got some fun things coming your way. Be well.